Hey, good morning, everybody. It's about 7:55 on this Monday. Thought I'd give you a vlog for this past weekend. And, well, it's been an interesting weekend, I could say that. At least an interesting week, too. Well, basically this is how it goes. It really started getting interesting, if you will, on Wednesday. Basically, my nephew got dropped off, I think seemingly for a few hours or something like that. And I think he got dropped off. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember. I don't know if he did or not. I can't remember. I don't know. I don't think he did. Well, if he did or not, I can't really remember. But no, he didn't. But Thursday he got dropped off because his dad went to work. Friday he got dropped off because his dad went to work. I think. No, wait a minute. No, Wednesday he got dropped off because his dad went to work, and Thursday he got dropped off because his dad went to work. Okay, that's right. Because Friday he didn't show up. But again, everything interesting really started on Wednesday. I mean, what happened Wednesday really kind of set the tone. Basically, especially for my mom, because basically what happened is, you know, I've mentioned before that her teacher that she has, an English teacher, is very unusual. I mean, this teacher gives a lot of homework, and she wants all this homework due on one day instead of, like my mom mentioned last night, separating it for, into 2 different days. I mean, basically she's got 2 different books she's got to read. A Rigoro book and a Bolslan book, or whatever his name is. And you would think that it makes sense to do the Rigoro maybe on a Wednesday, do that on a Wednesday in a Bolslan book, and do that on like today, on a Monday. But that didn't happen. Thankfully, according to my mom, the only thing that was beneficial out of this was the fact that she didn't have to write a journal this week, so that was good. The other thing the thing that really kicked off, I'm sorry, I'm still waking up a little bit. But that Wednesday off, really started on that Wednesday was, and kind of progressed just a little bit throughout the week, was the fact that my mom had accidentally forgot her folder, her binder, if you will, her notebook. Basically, her folder binder that contains everything inside, all the homework she had done, her writings, the typings that I did of her writings, things like that. Everything was contained inside that, so hopefully she gets it back today. But what kind of was on her mind at times was the fact that, okay, she emailed the teacher didn't email her back since Wednesday. Didn't email back. What else? Well, again, she didn't email her back. She emailed 2 of her fellow classmates that are in, because I guess they got separate groups. They were in her group. And they emailed her back. One emailed the questions that, she needed to use, because that's also what she left in the folder, was the questions for this week's homework. The study questions. So she was able to get those, thankfully, but the teacher had not emailed her back any information about whether or not she picked up a folder. Because what happened is my mom ended up going back, not even an hour or so being home, she ends up going back to Livermore to check the school, check the car, see if it's in there, and it's not, so she comes back. Which is kind of a waste of gas. Especially if you have the main books that you got to read, and you can just easily email those that you have to email to get information if you need it, or get help if you need it. So she ended up basically having that on her mind, and her teacher, this is what really discourages her about this teacher. I mean, she's a good teacher from what she says. She knows what she's doing, but the question is, does she? Because you see, according to her, this teacher is very, well, I look at it, and when she describes it to me, it's very scatterbrained. You know, she's recently, according to what she said, she recently moved this teacher to another place, to another home. So she's kind of scatterbrained. She's got a lot on her mind. I mean, my mom even told me that this teacher was asking for a certain portion, a certain homework, or something like that, and the students have to basically, one of the students have to remind her, we already gave that portion of the assignment to you, or that portion of the homework to you. And, you know, she's like, huh, what? She's like, you did? No. You know, it's like she couldn't remember. She's kind of scatterbrained, absent-minded. And then another thing was, one of the students told my mom, and this is just their opinion, that maybe they feel, in their opinion, just their opinion, that perhaps this teacher's having them do her work for her. Because one of the things that my mom and her fellow students have to do, and due in on a Monday, is a quiz design. A quiz design. And then they got to answer that very quiz, if you will. So, yeah, basically, according to one of the students that my mom is friends with, this teacher seems, in their opinion, seems to having them do her work for her. Now, apparently, I also understand this teacher takes classes as well. I don't know when or where. But apparently, that's what she does. But it seems that this teacher's very scattered-brained, and is not very organized in the eyes of my mom and some of the other students. I mean, she's probably good at what she does, but she's not, you know, she doesn't have her mind on straight. She's not focused. She's not focused or focusing on what needs to be done. And I think that's what worries my mom and worries the other students. Would it worry me? You're damn right it would. At least, I mean, I even tell my mom, hey, at least when I was in high school, my English teachers, doesn't matter if it was Miss Collins, it didn't matter if it was, I can't even think of the other names right now, but it didn't matter if it was Miss Collins or something. I can't think of the other names, the other teachers we had, the other teacher I had or something, but it didn't matter if it was one of them. The fact of the matter is, when Miss Collins would give us assignments, she would make sure everything was situated and figured out, and basically made sure everything was organized. And she didn't scatterbrain. She didn't think, you know, I can never recall her basically having one of the students, or having one of us kind of tell her, well, wait a minute, you gave us that already. And having her go like, you did? I never recall that. I never have remembered that. That never happened as far as I'm concerned. But besides that, we had a good weekend as well. I mean, this past Saturday, we went to my brother-in-law's niece's wedding, or my sister's niece-in-law's wedding, here in town. Very Catholic, very Mexican, very Catholic and Mexican oriented. In other words, everything was in Spanish. The whole ceremony was basically all Catholic-wise. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful ceremony. You had a mariachi band basically being the chorus for it in the church, but very, very beautiful wedding. The only problem was my nephew was acting up a little bit, because apparently my nephew isn't doing so well in school, and he hasn't been very truthful with his parents. So basically he's in a situation right now to where if he doesn't start picking up the pace in school and start being truthful with them, he's not going to get a lot of stuff back. Right now he's got a lot of his main things that he likes to do and enjoy taken away from him. So, and that's the thing right now with me and my mom. We don't know how that's going to affect us in a sense if he gets dropped off and my brother-in-law has to work possibly at times. But, you know, that's the whole thing, right? That's the only thing that was kind of disappointing, was the fact that he acted up a little bit. I mean, he went up for communion. Okay, they had this little communion. Now, things are different. because he's so used to doing the communion at our church when he comes to church with me and my mom. He went up there, but he couldn't receive the bread because, he hadn't fully gone through the ritual, when it comes to, full communion and all that, when it comes to the Catholic Church. He hadn't fully done that yet, or hadn't fully gone through the ritual. But yeah, it was very, very different. I'll say that when it comes to service, but it's one way to learn. What I find is it's interesting to go to something like that because you can learn exactly what happens sometimes. Or you can learn the differences at times between regular church, like a Christian church like Adventure Christian, and the Catholic one. But yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful wedding. Afterwards, we were able to come back and relax a little bit for about an hour and a half. And then we met up with my sister, met up back at my older sister's house. And originally my mom wanted to take her truck back. She did. She wanted to take her truck back and all that. I mean, to not take her truck back, but take her truck up to the reception. She didn't do that. Because I looked at the fact, I'm thinking, well, wait, now, because here was the thing. I'm pretty sure my second older sister and her husband were hoping that their oldest son would come with them. That didn't happen. So instead, what happened was we ended up riding with them. So my second older sister and her husband had plenty of room in the car. We ended up riding with them. We ended up riding them up to Newman, California, where the reception is, up to the hall there, the Veterans Hall, I think, where it was. And we had a good time there. It was good food, very Mexican food, there's no doubt about that. So almost similar in a sense to my cousin's wedding, not much. They had the mariachi band in there playing all the time, so that was nice. The biggest difference was the beer. You see, at my cousin's wedding, the beer and the alcohol was kind of like free of charge until a certain time, and then they had to start charging. Over at my cousin-in-law, niece-in-law's wedding, if you will, whatever you want to call it, cousin-in-law, relative-in-law's wedding, that wasn't the case. We were able to eat, we were able to drink as much as we wanted, not abusing it, we were able to drink as much as we wanted. So we had a good time, it was fun. I got to do another dollar dance with the bride, which was nice, and she thanked me and my mom for coming. Because she is family. I said, hey, no problem, hey, we're family, that's the thing. And that's the truth, she's part of she basically, through my sister's marriage to my brother-in-law, she's part of our family. That's about it. And I was telling this to my mom the other day. I said, man, our family just seems to get bigger and bigger. It doesn't matter what size it is, or what side it comes from. It gets bigger. And that was good there. And yeah, we had a good time. And the kids were playing. It was getting a little hot at times, but they had a good time. Overall, it was nice, and like I said, it was some people like my mom look at it. My mom will probably sometimes look at it like it was a little unorganized, especially with the kids. But that comes to be expected because you see, unlike my cousin's wedding, where unless the kids were part of the wedding, there were no kids allowed because that would give people more free time. So, but this one was like, hey, bring the kids. It doesn't matter. We're gonna have a big yard. But it was a nice wedding. Like I said, very nice, very, very good, nice wedding and reception. So I was glad about going to that. And then, oh man, the garnet throw. Me and my niece had never done this before, the Catholic wedding reception. But basically, what it is that I don't know what the tradition is, but basically, the single men and the single women have to hold hands. And the bride and the groom are like this, on chairs on like this, and you basically got to run around in circles. You can basically hold on to the other hand. You got to start running around in a certain pattern, or try to run as fast as you can, do it as fast as you can until the music stops. Here's you got to do this. My niece had the smart idea. She was like the third or last one at the end when the women did it first, and she came this close to getting the bouquet, this close. She didn't get it, and then when it was our turn, the guys ended up putting me in front. Like they thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. Honest to God. Because it was the first time I'd done something like that. But we just kept running and running, and I was like, okay. My sister tried to give me instructions. So she was kind of like telling me, like, okay, Brian, go this way. Okay, Brian, go this way. You know? That was funny, but... And then they tossed the gardener, and I didn't catch it this time because I caught it at my cousin's wedding, so... You know, that's more... You know, so once is enough as far as I'm concerned. Basically, I told my mom, hey, once is enough. Basically, God's saying to my niece, hey, you had the bouquet, but not your time yet. It's not your time yet. Just wait your time. Your time is coming. She caught it once before at another wedding. But, you know, I guess the myth is, or the legend is, the more you catch the gardener and the bouquet, the more better your chances are of being the next one in line. You know, so... Fortunately, I got the gardener from my cousin's wedding this year, so that kind of tells me, yeah, God's telling me your time's coming. I just don't know exactly when it's coming, but it's coming soon. My nieces is like, and God's like to my niece, no offense, Lord, when I say this, is like, God's message is, Jerica, your time, because that's her name, saying, Jerica, your time ain't now. Your time ain't now, so... But overall, it was a nice wedding, very beautiful. A little disorganized according to my mom, but hey, what are you going to do? Especially with kids. And then yesterday, we went to church, kept tabs on the Niners game. Unfortunately, they lost. And went to church, though, had a good time there. Went home, went to Walgreens, did a little shopping there, went home, had some chicken. She worked on her homework. I kept tabs on the game. She watched the Giants lose, even though I don't know. And she was questioning, well, why are the Giants losing? And it's basically the fact that, you know, certain teams are like, you know what, you know, we can lose certain games as long as we probably have enough to get a home field advantage or something like that. Because they already wrapped up the West Division, so that's good. Again, though, basically we just remained at home for most of the day. She worked on her thing, and I basically did what I had to do. And then we went out, we got Subway. Then we had to come back because she forgot to grab a certain piece of mail that she has to mail out. We went and mailed that, then we came back. And then I started, well, during this time as well, I was typing up what she had written down already. I was typing up the quiz design, I was typing up the short answers and stuff like that. So overall, very, very interesting weekend, very intriguing weekend, and especially week as well for a lot of us. And my second older sister and her husband, they took my youngest nephew to Dublin along with his brother, because his brother was meeting up with his girlfriend yesterday. And while he was meeting up with his girlfriend to shop for some shirts for the homecoming dance he wants to take her to, they went and took my youngest nephew, or second youngest nephew, 5 years old, to go see Hotel Transylvania in that vicinity. So, overall, very interesting and very intriguing weekend. Found out that my 5-year-old nephew was student of the month at his school, which is good in his first year. So, overall, very intriguing, very interesting weekend, very fun weekend at times. The only thing I could think, the reason my mom, like I said, would think that the wedding was disorganized at times was nobody was really keeping an eye on the kids. Because some of the kids, the older kids, sometimes would go to another part. The kids were supposed to stay in the grass area, but some kids would go over to this gravel area where this trailer was. So, kind of like farm trailer, like would you carry stuff on. So they weren't supposed to do that. Overall, though, very fun wedding. A very fun wedding on Saturday, and just interesting and intriguing week and weekend. And that's all I'm going to say for this vlog. Sorry I went a little long. And comment and video response if you like down below, and I'll talk to you later.